Hi and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm showing you 3 meals for your baby. We're doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and these are all super easy, simple, whole food meals. My son Elliot is 11 months old, and now he's at the stage where he's really into finger foods and picking things up and feeding himself, rather than me spoon feeding him purees. So we do work purees in a little bit here and there, but most of the food that I give him, as you'll see, is stuff that he can pick up and feed himself. Elliot woke up at about 6:30 and had a bottle of formula right when he woke up. He still drinks formula because he's not quite 1 yet, so we have not transitioned away from that. And now it's time for breakfast. For breakfast today we're making a good old classic, some oatmeal. For the oatmeal I'm using 1/3 cup of rolled oats, and I'm cooking it in silk unsweetened almond milk. I'm using about 3/4 of a cup of almond milk, bringing that to a boil on the stove, then turning the heat to low, adding in about 1/3 of a frozen banana to give it some nice creamy fruity sweetness, and then cover it and cook it for about 10 minutes. Once it's done, I'm mixing in a spoonful of peanut butter. This is probably a little less than a tablespoon to give it some nice protein and fat and make it extra yummy. Giving that a good stir, and then I'm putting it in the freezer so that it can cool down really quickly and we can eat soon. While we wait for our oatmeal to finish cooling, we are having a little appetizer, if you will. These are just some plain Cheerios. They're actually the Trader Joe's brand. And Elliot has just started to feed me, which is so cute. Now it is time to eat our oatmeal. As you can see, I'm just spoon feeding this to him because I don't know of any other way that you would feed a baby oatmeal. It would get a little crazy. And he's wearing a silicone bib to catch anything that falls, which I love because it catches everything and it's really, really easy to wash. I typically don't eat my own breakfast until after Elliot has his, but before I eat breakfast I always like to get some water in, so I found an easy way to do that is to have some water in between bites of feeding him. So I'll give him a bite, have some water, keep going with that, and I can get through at least a water bottle before it's time for me to eat. I always have some water there, so if Elliot wants it he can just grab it and have some as he eats, and this is the Munchkin Miracle 360 cup. This is always a fun meal highlight when your child grabs their spoon and flings it back on you. Always a good time. So a whole meal start to finish usually takes around 30 minutes at least for us, just because it is a process to have him pick up everything and feed himself. We've got to stop in between, play with the food on the tray. You guys know how it goes. I'm curious to know, how long does it take for you to feed your baby a meal? Let me know down in the comments, as well as any tips you have to help make mealtime easier, because I know it can be a bit of a challenge for all of us. Alright, we are all done now, and as you can see, Elliot ate most of the oatmeal. He ate, I would say, over 3/4 of it, which is pretty good. And now it's just time to clean up. While I'm cleaning up, I usually leave Elliot in his high chair and just give him a toy to play with for a couple minutes to keep him entertained. After breakfast, Elliot took his morning nap after a little while, and he had another bottle before that, and now it's about 12:30 and time for lunch. I'm steaming some veggies out of this frozen Costco bag of stir-fry vegetable blend. I really think it's not about getting fancy, it's just about using what you have on hand and keeping it pretty simple. So a lot of the time I will just pull different vegetables out of some frozen mixes that I already have on hand. And in this case I was pulling out some carrots and broccoli to use in 2 different meals. Now it's time to pull the broccoli out and chop it into smaller bits so he can eat them easier. And before that I was just slicing some blueberries in half to have on the side. The protein for this meal is just some chickpeas that I've rinsed off to get all the excess salt off of them, and I found that these are really easy and soft for Elliot to eat. I usually start off with the food that I know Elliot likes probably the least, so in this case it's the broccoli, surprise surprise, and he'll usually eat a bit more of it if I start with it first. So we're just having some broccoli and then I'll throw in some chickpeas, and he likes those, he's eating those no problem. And I do tend to just put a couple pieces on his tray at a time so that he can focus on those rather than getting distracted and starting to play with all the food that's sitting there. Oh, we've got a little friend joining. This is Lucille. She's quite the mama's girl, so she likes to sit on my lap any chance that she gets. As we're eating, there's always some pauses so that we can like make fun sounds with our mouth that we're discovering, so that's always fun. I've saved the blueberries to the end after he's already eaten some broccoli and chickpeas because I know he loves blueberries and pretty much any fruit, and he's going to have no problem eating all of those. And here he is feeding Mama a chickpea. Oh, thank you, Elliot. So yummy. After he ate all the blueberries, I gave him this little jar of sweet potato puree that I had left from a few days ago, and he ate all of that. Here we are giving Dad some broccoli. Dad's got to mess up his hair a little bit. And we're just finishing up having a little bit more of our broccoli and chickpeas and some water. Elliot did pretty good with this meal. There's not too much there in the bib. Sometimes that catches like the whole meal. On the tray and on the plate, there's definitely mostly the broccoli is left over, which wasn't surprising for me. It's now around 4 o'clock and it's time for Elliot's early dinner. He usually goes to bed by about 7, so we do eat dinner with him pretty early. For this meal, I'm chopping up some strawberries into small bits that he can eat, and there's also some steamed carrots from the same bag that I steamed with the broccoli earlier, and we're just doing some plain Greek yogurt. I do try to usually just give him plain yogurt because he doesn't need the extra sugar. Sometimes he's down with eating from a spoon, but with this yogurt he was just not having it, so he insisted on grabbing it and making sure he ate the bite himself, which is fine. Very, very messy, as you'll see, but it helps him learn how to eat from a spoon, and I am cool with that. We were just not really digging the carrots on this specific day, and you can tell because he just drops it down as a little snack to the pups. Since he wasn't eating much of the carrots and he was kind of iffy on the strawberries, he ate maybe half. I figured I would give him some more blueberries since he loved those earlier, and just to get some more nutrients in. Once again, most of our time is spent not actually eating, but just playing with the spoon, playing with the yogurt, fun things like that. At a certain point when he gets really squirmy and like bopping up and down and getting a little fussy, I can tell that he is ready to get out and be done. So we finished up and he ate a pretty good amount here. There's a little bit in his bib, some carrots and blueberries, a little bit on the tray, and on the plate just a couple strawberry slices and some carrots. I forgot to mention it earlier, but Elliot did have another bottle before going down for his afternoon nap around 2, and now it is evening and bedtime. It is about 6:30 and we're having one more bottle before bed, and I always like to still hold him and rock him while giving him his bottle just because he's my sweet little baby and I don't want to give that up yet. That is it for today's video. Please don't forget to like it if you liked it and consider subscribing if you are new, and I will see you in the next video.